Talk.
Yes. Oh, and
Broadcast is live.
Okay. I got an error occurred on Periscope, but it looks like we're live on all the things.
Woo! All the
Cool.
things.
Awesome. We've never done this multi-stream thing before, so it's a new thing.
Multi-stream. Is that like multi-pass? I have no idea.
I have no idea.
For the 6 people out there who remember The Fifth Element.
I haven't watched that. That's something I need to watch.
And I've derailed our first podcast already.
It's okay.
Didn't even get to the first line of introduction.
But what I was saying before we went live is you can fill in whatever you want, because I know some people like have accounts that they don't really want to promote and ones that they do. So
I'll promote everything.
Heck yeah. Okay. What's up, everybody? Thank you for coming to episode 47 of the Attractions Podcast. Hello, Rodney, a usual suspect coming in to hang out. Let's see. I don't see us on my Twitter homepage, but that is okay. We are also live streaming on Facebook and Periscope if you're on Twitter instead of just YouTube. Oh, we have, holy cow, 71 people. Hi.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, everybody. Everyone's saying hi. What's up? What's up? Oh, 80. Oh, my God. I'm getting stage fright now. I'm going to turn our faces off. I'm scared. I've never had this many people come. Oh, my God. We're pushing 100. Hi,
awesome.
Everybody. If you're new here, this is the Attractions Podcast, the official podcast of Attractions Magazine, where we talk about all the theme park stuff that we've reported on this week and anything else we feel like talking about. So welcome. Thanks for coming. Hi, everyone. Hi, Marianne. Thanks for tuning in. First time watching. Well, this is our first time streaming on Facebook, so you picked a great time to tune in. Thanks, Rodney. I'm still trying to reach Banks's level of production here, so bear with me. But I'm recording audio on my end. I guess you can't. So
yeah, I tried that whole iPad screen recording and it didn't quite work. Yeah. But what I can do real quick, I will pop on a voice recorder. This is cool behind the scenes stuff, everyone.
Yeah. These guys are used to us getting things ready behind the scenes on camera.
All right. So I have my voice recorder going
cool
on my end for backup.
Awesome. And I love that since we're multi-streaming, we can see who's commenting from where. That's great. I was wondering how that would work. Okay. Well, if we're ready.
Future.
It's the future. The internet is here. Languages Lover, we will talk about that at the main attraction of the show, because it's given me some feelings about the theater industry that we will have to discuss. All right, but let's get started in 3, 2. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 47 of the Attractions Podcast. I'm Brittany.
And I am Seth.
And we are here to talk to you about the latest and greatest in theme park, movie, video game news, and what's going on in our lives in general. And this week, I am joined by the one and only Seth Kuberski.
Thank you so much. This has been a lifelong dream. I've written for Attractions Magazine. I've represented the magazine on the local news. I've been interviewed by the magazine, but I've never actually been a co-host on a podcast or a show. So it's very exciting.
It's definitely been an experience for me. I'm just a little background for those of you that are new. I co-hosted this podcast with Banks Lee, and since he has moved on, this is now my baby that I'm learning
Let's
how
clarify.
to do.
Banks hasn't moved on in any like fatal.
No, moved on.
He's
in
moved
like
on
a nice way,
bigger and better things.
But yeah, so now this is my thing, and I've been learning like live streaming production more than I had barely known from live streaming games, but it's been fun, and now I get to work with Seth in kind of a more professional aspect, which I haven't really gotten to do before. It makes me feel more official, I guess.
We're all just trying to feel official.
Yeah, we're all trying to be professional here. But before we get started, what's been going on in your life this week, Seth?
Well, in addition to helping out with the Attractions magazine, I write the unofficial guide to Universal Orlando, and I'm a co-author on the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World. And I also have the unofficial guide to Disneyland and Las Vegas, which I don't think I want to really discuss Disneyland or Las Vegas right now. But, like a lot of people, I've been kind of in limbo through the pandemic, wondering what's going to happen. And people are going to buy books about theme parks. But just in the last week or so, I finally got the thumbs up, green light to, go ahead. And don't know the exact publication date, but I'm working furiously to get our books updated with all the new information, because it's a whole new world out there.
It definitely is. And we don't know how long these rule changes are going to be in place,
Yeah, we could spend a whole hour on that, but we're preparing our books to be on the shelves at least into 2021 with all of the COVID-19 information you really don't want to know. On a personal level, I had a tragedy this evening. Finally finished watching all the episodes of The Floor is Lava, and I'm really not sure what I'm gonna do with myself now.
I've never watched that, but I imagine the premise is pretty much what it sounds like.
It's pretty much like an old school Nickelodeon Double Dare type game show for adults.
I love
for
that.
grown-ups. Yeah.
I watch YouTube like it's actual TV.
It's what a pandemic will do to you. I've started doing that a little myself.
I've been watching, there's a podcast that I listen to occasionally called Cold Ones, and they did this video where they just went on Twitch and donated large sums of money to random streamers to see how they would react. Yeah, I know. And
if they want to stop by, are we on Twitch? Let's get this on Twitch.
I guess so. I was kind of mad. I was like, man, I should have been streaming when they did this. But there was this one kid, and he was like, any money that I get from donations, I'm going to use to help my mom. And they were like, give this kid 500 quid. And then they did. And he like started crying. And then they were like, give him 1,000 more because he's crying. And it was just so like wholesome, because they were doing it to be funny and to like get people to do stupid things like smash an egg on their head or something. But this was actually really wholesome and cute. But other than that, my dog went on his first walk this week.
Woo.
So that he's scared of cars. Aww. And he stops to greet every person that crosses his path, much to the delight of people we run into. But it's really kind of sad, cute how he's scared of cars. Because on our walk route, there is a point where we have to walk on a sidewalk that is next to a main street in our area. And every time a car goes by, he just sits and in fear just like waits for the car to go before he'll start walking again. It's really sweet.
This is why I don't take my cat for walks.
I have seen people walk their cats here in Austin. You should try it just once for fun.
We once tried getting a harness to put on him, and that did not last very long. No. Brody
has just started to learn that the harness means he gets to go outside, and he used to fight it before, but now he sees the harness and he's like, oh, outside? Walkies? So now we're starting to get the point where walking is good. So that's fun.
It's a big step.
Yeah, it is a big step.
Soon he'll be going to kindergarten.
We took him to kind of like a puppy kindergarten not too long ago, and he was a shy boy, just hid under a table because he was so nervous around all the other puppies. It was so cute. They had cameras set up because of COVID and everything, so we could watch it on Zoom while we had him there. So it was really sweet, and they were trying to get him to play, and he was just like, no, I'm okay here.
Oh, so sweet.
He is really cute. But if I had a picture, I would pull it up to show you. But if you want to see him, you can go to brody.lay.french on Instagram. Shameless plug if you would like to see him in all of his cuteness.
He doesn't have his own Twitch account?
No, he doesn't. But I would bring him in here and set up a stream, and people would probably watch it. But let's get into the news.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And I'm gonna do a cool thing for you guys here. I have video. Look at that. If you're listening to the audio version, stay tuned for this sound clip now. You'll hear it in post. All right, first things first. The Disney Parks Moms Panel has been rebranded into Plan Disney.
Yep.
It's interesting that they decided to do it now to help guests better plan Disney trips in our current times. And I think the Moms Panel has more recently been made up of people other than moms. So
moms in name only.
Moms in name only, but now
Minos.
But now it's grandparents, parents, adults without kids for you Disney adults out there. And it's just pretty much what it's always been, just changed in name. That you can find a database full of questions and answers to various theme park things you might be wondering about, how to plan the perfect vacation, how to get the best seat on Flight of Passage, which I think is like the middle of the middle, but I know some people think the top row is the best.
I don't think the height matters so much as the seat number. It's got to be seat 8 or 9. Or as close to 8 or 9 as you can get.
That's yeah.
But I don't think the height matters as much as it does on Soarin'. Soarin', you got to be front row.
Yeah, because then you see people's feet just like dangling above you. It ruins the immersiveness of the thing. But now you can check that out at plandisneypanel.com. They have a whole slew of panelists that can help you out. But the branding also I thought was interesting because now it's similar to Run Disney and Shop Disney. Now we've got Plan Disney.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't necessarily say what a better brand would have been because I'm not getting paid to make those kind of decisions. But
yeah,
I do think it's interesting that it reinforces one of the biggest knocks against Walt Disney World, which is that it requires so much planning now. Especially with the park pass. It was bad enough when you're worried about booking your fast passes months out, but now that you've got to book your park pass, especially annual pass holders who weren't used to planning every Disney visit, it really kind of drives home that the old carefree way of visiting Disney is done. Yeah,
because it's not enough that now you have to. You used to worry about what fast passes you were going to get as an AP. Now you have to worry about whether or not you're going to get to go at all.
Even go in the park, yeah.
Yeah, but interesting. Plan Disney, Disney, Shop Disney, Stress Disney.
Love Disney, worship Disney.
Yes. All right, next up. Oops, there we go. California's Great America, Carowinds, and other Cedar Fair parks are going to be closed for the rest of this year. This news came out right in the middle of the Q3 Disney earnings call, so that was a lot of fun. Really sad to see, I'm going to be honest. I hate it for all the people that work at these parks and live in the areas that they are located in, because the theme parks are such a huge revenue driver for local economies, and to see them be closed, it doesn't spell good things.
Yeah. I mean, it's bad enough here in Orlando, but some of these smaller regional towns, especially young people, high school and college kids, really rely on that paycheck from the summer job at the local theme park. And Yeah, it's a blow, and kind of surprising that they're pulling, not totally surprising, obviously, under the circumstances, but
Yeah.
pulling the plug on the entire season, just saying we're gonna try again in 2021. It's a hard decision to make, I'm sure.
Yeah, I definitely didn't expect this to come from Cedar
Mm.
Fair first. It definitely was kind of a shock, especially since we really don't know the fate of Knott's right now. Uh,
Hmm.
but
And
that,
Knott's really seems to be doing well with what they are doing, and we can talk a little later about what they are doing.
yeah,
um, but yeah, but all of those other parks just definitely staying closed was a bit of a shock.
yeah. So just to keep it all concise for you guys, California's Great America, Carowinds, Kings Dominion, Valley Fair, and Gilroy Gardens will be closed for the rest of the year, which is really sad. And then some parks will be opening later, I believe. Let's see. Cedar Point and Kings Island will be open through November 1st, and then they will close. So if those are your local parks, be sure to get there while you can, support them while you can,
Mhm.
safely, of course, um, and hope that they will open bigger and better than ever next year. Yes. And
Speaking of,
speaking of Knott's, they canceled Knott's Scary Farm, and I'm so sad. I love one of my favorite things to cover each year is the live stream press event that they do for Knott's because the shows and the presentations are so much fun. And
yeah,
I'm super bummed.
I grew up with that special, the year without Christmas,
Yeah.
and I didn't think I'd be living through the year without Halloween. Um,
Yeah.
you know, in Knott's, canceling the scary, because I don't, just like Universal, I don't think you can deliver the haunted house experience that their hardcore fan base expects,
Yeah.
under the current circumstances. But Knott's has been doing really well with this food festival that they've got going
They
on. They've expanded it.
mhm.
I've heard majority good reports about the social distancing and the attendance levels. It seems to be doing pretty well for them. So
Yeah.
I think some sort of fall food festival with a little bit of spookiness might still happen. But yeah, the scary farm that we know and love is not happening.
I've been watching a lot of vlogs from the Taste of Knots event, and it looks great. People seem to really like it. It's like the park is basically open, but nothing is running. And it's a smart way to get around theme parks being closed in California right now. Um,
And I believe the lanyard, you get 5 samples for $25. That might have gone up to $30. I know initially it was 5 for $25, but still, for those of us who go to Epcot and get like a little bite for $7, seeing the big portions that they do at Knott's for their food festivals. I've been there before for their Boysenberry Festival, and
mhm.
it's really a great value.
I've never been to Knott's, but we ordered a package full of boysenberry flavored things when they opened up that online marketplace, and it was all delicious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I wonder if they'll do some kind of sort of atmospheric, scary stuff, like maybe people in the streets or music and decorations or something.
In the streets, maybe not. Up on the balconies, I know for the Taste of Knots, they've had some of the ghost town performers up
Mhm.
on second floors or on stages where they can perform but still be socially isolated. And
Yeah.
something like that with the Halloween twist, I think would go over really well. Especially if Disney and Universal aren't doing anything at all,
Yeah.
Knots can have that all to themselves this year.
Yeah,
Oh,
they'll
and
be.
also no Queen Mary, Dark Harbor too.
Yeah,
So
that
it's yeah.
one's. Yeah,
It's
and
going
then
to be
they
a very quiet
canceled.
Halloween in California.
Yeah, and Queen Mary canceled their sister event in Orlando not
Hmm.
too long ago as well. And this was its first year was just last year.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they got off to a pretty good start. They had a few little freshman things to fix, but
Hmm.
overall for a new event, I thought they did a really solid job, and I was looking forward to them coming back again.
Well, let's hope that this is just a this year thing, and that all of this extra time that they have to plan will make next year awesome. Because if there's one thing I know about knots, even though I don't really care for haunt events that much, I know that they knock them out of the park every single time.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see what they'll have planned for next year. That's for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, something that is a little questionable for theme park fans. We'll see what you guys think about it in the comments. So, Universal Studios Singapore is now using facial recognition technology for pass holders to enter the park. And this is a little different. I don't want to say weird because it's normal over there. This technology will also be used at Universal Beijing once that opens. I don't know if it would ever make its way over here, but I don't know. What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so just to be clear, they have been very non-specific about exactly what technology, for security reasons, they won't really release any details. So this is just kind of our speculation based on the limited information we have. If you've been a resort guest at Universal Orlando in the last few years and gotten an express pass, you've been a guinea pig for a facial recognition system. Now, I don't know if it's necessarily the same system or a completely different system. If they're using it for all of these people over there, I assume it probably is a different or at least upgraded system, because the one Universal tested for their express passes for resort guests is kind of slow and not all that effective from my personal experience with it. But it's out there. And in most of the rest of the world, especially, London, Europe, and of course, Asia, CCTVs are everywhere. Facial recognition is just kind of a way of life. I don't know how Americans would adjust to that. I'm also really fascinated by the idea, because mask usage is much higher in places like Singapore and Beijing than it is here. Yeah. How this system can work just based on someone's eyes, apparently, because everyone's wearing a face mask. So from what I understand, this is only going to be annual pass holders.
Yes.
If you've got a one-day ticket, you're still going to have a regular ticket. But if you're an annual pass holder, you'll be able to walk in without pulling the ticket out or showing a lanyard. It'll just know your face. And that was rumored at one point to be part of Epic Universe. There was an idea early on, which from what I understand was put aside, that you'd be able to walk freely into this big hub area, and then to walk into a land, it would just facial recognize your face. And let you know that you could walk in, and you'd only get chased down if you weren't allowed to be in there. Which was kind of if you've seen the Epic Universe plans, which are now kind of pretty much null and void, or at least on indefinite hold. It was a big open hub area with restaurants and hotels, and then attractions springing off from that. So the ability to have people like walk through City Walk, but then only get stopped if they want to walk into the park without having had a turnstile. As an annual pass holder who's always, holding on to his lanyard, it would be great. But I think the civil rights and personal privacy people would not be very happy with that situation at all.
Yeah. Rick Butler says, no different than biometrics to me, which that is a good point. I think it's just a thing that people have about their faces and, where does this data go?
It's an emotional reaction. Absolutely. Yeah. So we'll see how that works out.
Yeah. So other than annual pass holders, if you're a day guest, if you leave and then re-enter, you can use your face as your re-entry, but it's mostly for annual pass holders. But it's I can't read. Sorry, Resorts World Sentosa, who owns the park, the land that the park is located on, said that they will implement stringent security measures to safeguard guest information. So there should not be any worry for hacking and things like that.
Oh, sure,
But
because we can always trust large corporations to
yeah,
safeguard our personal data. Nothing has
that
ever gone wrong with that.
TikTok and everything else. I mean, that's what they said. So we'll just have to see how it goes and then see if it ever makes its way to the European parks before
What,
it.
what I really want to know
Yeah.
is if there's now a rash of people, the scalpers who resell partially used tickets,
Oh,
if they're now like making Mission Impossible style masks of people's faces to go with the resold ticket.
I've seen these scary face masks, Facebook ads where they're like printed out images of the lower half of your face. Terrifying to look at. If you actually have one of those and it looks good, tweet me a picture because I want to see.
I'd love to see an excellent
I
example
want
of
to
that.
see it.
Doesn't just give me an uncanny valley kind of.
In other news, Walt Disney World is reducing their theme park hours. It started yesterday with September 8th, the day that we are recording this. So this is kind of a big deal.
Wait, today's September 8th?
Well, it's September 9th, yesterday, on the day that we were.
I think we're in August.
Oh.
Did I miss my birthday
August?
this year?
Wait, guys, I'm sorry. My brain is everywhere. It hasn't happened yet. My bad.
Universal also reduced hours. Their hours reduced this week. Disney announced their hours, but I believe that those are not going to kick in until right after Labor Day, the new hours at Disney.
Yes. Okay. Starting September 8th, here's the breakdown for you. Magic Kingdom, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Park previously closed at 7. Epcot is 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Park previously closed at 9. Hollywood Studios is 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Previously closed at 8. And Animal Kingdom is 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Previously opened at 8 a.m. and closed at 6 p.m. So not only is it hard to even go, but now you don't get to stay as long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough from an economic point of view. I totally get it. If you can shave an hour or two of labor off of your daily costs, that's a lot of money. With this few people coming in, I love going to Epcot in the evening. There is nothing like strolling around World Showcase. Mm-hmm. But when I see 10 employees for every one guest, when you can walk from Germany all the way to Japan and not see a single other person after 7 p.m., it doesn't make sense to keep the doors open. Yeah. Now, I personally think that they could kill two birds with one stone, close the park early to all those day guests and resort guests, and have like an after 4 p.m. entry wave for annual pass holders getting off work.
That's not a bad idea.
Because I know I would love to go and hang out at Animal Kingdom or Magic Kingdom after sunset when it isn't 1,000 degrees out. But right now the parks, and this is true for Universal too, the weekdays are empty. Even after September 11th, 2001, the parks were not anywhere near this empty. But this Saturday and Sunday is packed because all the annual pass holders who are able to get into the park just fill the place up on the weekends. So I understand why there aren't enough paying guests to keep it open, past a certain point. But I think that they could certainly Food and Wine Festival could sell some food and drink to annual pass holders if they come in, after they get off work. I think it's going to take that kind of outside the box thinking to justify, keeping people on staff, because I don't know how long they can go on. Every day that I've visited on a weekday has just been so quiet. That at first it was great. At first it was wonderful getting on all the rides. And then you realize that this isn't good long term. This is not healthy.
Yeah, and if you are the type to listen into the earnings calls, their loss of revenue this quarter was brutal. And I mean, I have friends who still haven't been called back to work yet because their location closed and then they hadn't been transferred anywhere else. So they're just kind of sitting at home furloughed still.
Yep.
And, you know, they're trying to save money wherever they can to keep these parks open. And it's kind of a bittersweet situation. Like I get it, but at the same time, it's hard to see it from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
And I think your idea with giving perks to annual pass holders is great, especially after Bob Chapek, CEO, said that their focus was more on the day guest than the annual pass holder these days.
Yeah, which, you know, Governor DeSantis just this week revoked the requirements that people coming in from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, which are, you know, a big market for us. That they have to quarantine for 14 days. You know, who is going to hole up in a hotel room for 14 days before they go out in the parks? Obviously, that doesn't.
Nobody.
Unfortunately, it hasn't been, reciprocated. New York, New Jersey, they don't want anyone who's coming from Florida. And honestly, looking at our statistics, you can't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, day guests, I guess there are people driving in from Georgia. We see people driving in from the Carolinas, you know, Louisiana even. But people are not flying in. I live right under the flight path to Orlando International Airport, and it's picked up slightly, but that's a lot of cargo. Passenger flights are just not coming back yet. So, you know, if you're not really reaching out to your local annual pass holder base now, then when?
Yeah. And sure, they're not spending the most per day as a day guest would, but they're the ones that you have to serve and keep them coming back, you know?
It adds up. I know I wind up spending money, whether I want to or not. I end up spending money every time, even if it's just, going to Universal and getting my 10,000th butterbeer. And, you know, Disney has taken a lot of criticism for how annual passes or annual pass holders have been handled. Yeah. But Universal is also not like totally escaped criticism. They're premier annual pass holders who, don't get to go to Halloween Horror Nights that they paid for, don't get their after 4 express passes when the park's closing at 5. But Universal has said that they're trying to figure out something to do for them. So we'll see. We'll see what new perks. I think that especially once Labor Day hits and whatever little bit of summer crowd we have disappears, they're really going to have to go hard after the annual pass holder market.
More buttons and magnets.
Magnets for everyone.
Magnets for everyone.
Get a button. You get a button.
I know those buttons go really fast, though.
Oh, yeah. And tip, if you want a button at Universal, always go to Toon Lagoon. There's always a long line outside the pass holder lounge on Hollywood, and it's only open from like 11 to 4. But the shop in Toon Lagoon is open all day, and you can just walk in and get the button.
That's smart. Write that down, everybody. That's a good piece of advice. Now, this next thing, I can't really show you anything from it, but
avert your eyes, Marion. Don't look.
But I can show you this really cute picture of Mario punching a Q block. So a little accident happened on the internet last week. Some leaked images and video of Super Nintendo World at Universal Studios Japan surfaced on the internet. And
the interesting thing is that those videos have all been there since March. It just got discovered. And when I say discovered, a couple influential tweeters put it out on social media, and within hours, it had been swarmed over and then wiped clean.
Gone. Absolutely gone. I remember seeing it pop up, and I was like, oh, and I clicked on it because there's been such mystery, specifically surrounding how the rides work at Super Nintendo World, especially Mario Kart, because we've heard the rumors, the AR goggles, the projections, one person drives, everyone else deals with it. And we actually got to see what the vehicles look like and kind of implications of AR technology in this ride.
So here's the thing for anyone who did not get to see it, which is
Yeah.
probably the majority of the human race. It was a prototype for a website that would go along with the release of Super Nintendo World. And this, was not on a universal website. This was an artist, a digital artist, putting it in their portfolio, part of their online resume. Probably shouldn't have done that.
No. On
So
Vimeo of all things,
yeah,
just
yeah.
searchable. Yeah.
So we don't, this was a prototype, a demonstration, so the text, the images that we see, obviously, while they look very official, they could be placeholders, they could be just sample information, they could be even dummy information put out there to be, mislead people, whatever.
Yeah.
You never know. But it all seems to line up with what we know. However, keep this in mind. This is Universal Studios Japan, and they advertise things much, much differently than they do things in the States. In the States, when we advertise a ride, if the video of the ride does not really resemble what the ride is, people complain. In Japan, people expect that the advertisement is going to be heavily CGI'd and is going to be like a fantasy version of what being on the ride is, and they do not take it literally. So when you see a car swerving around and not driving on a track, that does not mean this is a trackless vehicle ride. When you see people throwing what seem to be augmented reality objects, but they don't have any glasses on, doesn't necessarily mean there's no glasses. Because if you go and look at the advertisements for the Spider-Man ride, which is in 3D out in Japan, no one's wearing glasses in the advertisements for that, but they haven't invented 3D without glasses. So you take all of it as kind of like artistic interpretation, but it does kind of line up with a 4-person vehicle. Each person seems to have a steering wheel, and each person seems to have some sort of interactivity. One of the cool, interesting things I thought was the subtitle, the Mario Kart ride.
Koopa's Challenge?
So Koopa in Japan is Bowser, or Bowser is King Koopa in Japan. So by the time it comes over here to the States, maybe that could be changed to King Koopa's Challenge, or Bowser's Challenge, or who knows.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought there was a lot of interest, and also a lot of interesting detail on a prototype for the smartphone app.
Yeah, and the power-up bands.
They're gonna Magic Band type devices.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to use the same type of technology, but probably something similar that'll interface with a game on your. I believe it said something like "We Are Mario" or "We Are All Mario."
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, I think it is RFID, but it's like gamified, where you can punch cue blocks and get points. You can tap your band on things and interact with the land and get coins, which you can use to do something. They haven't really gone into detail on what that is yet, but they talk about these power-up bands as if it is a way to gamify your theme park experience.
Absolutely. And in a way, I think it's kind of like the next step beyond the Harry Potter magic wands and the Star Wars Galaxy Edge data pad. Something that really bridges that gap between a toy and a game and a theme park. And I can't wait for it to come to this hemisphere sometime in my lifetime. That's a whole nother rumor conversation, though.
Yeah, well, here's a look at the power-up bands. I'm not sure if you can really see it that well, but they look like this.
Like snap bracelets.
Like
I think
slap bracelets?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's what they're going to be like.
I sure hope so, because that kind of fits with the nostalgic theme going on here. I also hope that they come up with some kind of interconnectivity to your Switch. I know that they've talked on an earnings call about being able to link your Nintendo account to your experience in the park, but I wonder if they're going to do like a mobile game that they've also built for the Switch, like Pokemon Cafe Mix that came out a couple months ago.
I mean, it would be cool if in Pokemon or Animal Crossing or something like that, there were secret things that you could unlock. From being in different locations around the land. That would be
as an Animal Crossing fan, items like exclusive theme park items that you can only get for visiting the parks, that automatically makes me want to go
Right.
even more than I already do. Because they've done this before. Back when Animal Crossing New Leaf was on the 3DS, Japan did a 7-Eleven collection that was all like 7-Eleven register, baskets, the whole thing that you can only get if you use Street Pass in a 7-Eleven in Japan.
Cool.
Yeah, so that would be very cool. I hope that things get kind of straightened out and we actually get to see some projected year for this thing, because now we're kind of just floating around in the aether, like not really knowing when this is going to come over to the States. But
they've been very quiet about opening dates. Obviously, the one in Japan was supposed to be finished in time for the Olympics and is basically done. I mean, we've seen everything moving and lit up, and obviously we don't know what's going on inside the ride, but it seems like that could open anytime in late 2020 or early 2021. And Hollywood is moving along. They've slowed down a lot of projects, but you can see week by week steel is still going up in California. So it'll be in the North America sometime in the not too distant future. I personally think that the odds of it ending up in Epic Universe in the format that we all thought are pretty slim at this point. But that doesn't mean we're not going to get to see Nintendo in Orlando. In fact, I think contractually, we might end up seeing it a little sooner than we think. Just because they've got paperwork that says you got to get this done. So, fingers crossed for Mario and friends making it all across the globe and getting to see them as soon as all this craziness is over.
And I'm going to keep my fingers crossed for an Animal Crossing themed area, because it is the 38th best-selling game of all time as of this month, I'm pretty sure. And it came out in March. So
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So if it's not on their radar now, I don't know what will put it on their radar. Yeah. But that's it for me and for news in the queue. And sorry, what?
Yeah, I think that's all the news we got.
Yeah, that's all that's happened so far. But a big thing that kind of has shaken up beyond the theme park world has happened this past week, and it could have some lingering effects well into the future. And that's that the live action version of Mulan that was supposed to come out back in March and has been delayed twice is now coming out on Disney Plus behind a premium paywall, which is a first for the streaming service. And it kind of, depending on how it goes, it could change how we see movies.
Yeah. First of all, was it Iger or Chapek who said this is a one-off?
Chapek said that.
That this is not necessarily mean that this is how their big movies are going to be released from now on. And honestly, like, no one would plan this. No one would spend, $200-something million making a huge movie and then do something like this unless it was the absolute direst of circumstances.
Yeah.
I think the most interesting thing about this is the different reactions from the movie theater chains. They were really unhappy with Universal when Trolls World Tour went direct to video, to the point where AMC said we are cutting our relationship with Universal, not going to show their movies, which should be interesting if the AMC at City Walk in Universal Hollywood ever reopens. But they were very, when Disney did this, AMC said, we're okay with it pretty much. We understand what's happening. And, part of that is things have gotten a lot worse, in the last couple months. And part of it, I think, is them just accepting that, I don't know, I think when this is all over, movie theaters are going to have to find a new place to fit into the entertainment ecosystem.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be a long time before people are comfortable sitting in theaters again like
Hmm.
that. You know,
Yeah.
I'm in live theater, and it's even worse for live theater. Um, but I think it'll be interesting to see how many people will be willing to both pay for Disney Plus and then pay $30 on top of that to see a film. The reactions I've heard from people as to whether $30 is too much money or not enough money basically depends on how many kids they have.
Yeah.
Uh, if you're single, you think $30 is ridiculous for a movie. If you've got a family and you're used to, like, you know, paying 50 or even $100 after the popcorn, then
Yeah.
$30 sounds like a great bargain.
Yeah, the reactions that I've seen, it kind of runs the gamut. Because I follow a lot of film criticism writers
Hmm.
and reporters, and mostly they're just scared that if this does well, it could mean that we see tentpole releases like this from Disney and a full elimination of the theatrical release window, which has already been shortened significantly from a new deal between AMC and Universal that came out last week. Um,
I mean, I think when this is all over, obviously there's going to be fewer movie theaters.
yeah.
And I think there's always going to be a audience that wants to see big tentpole movies in a crowd with other people around.
Mhm.
I mean, personally, I'm really spoiled. I've got a 125-inch projection system, um,
Ooh,
so it's kind of like having my own IMAX. And
that's
I
awesome.
still miss, you know, seeing a comedy and hearing strangers around you laugh, and, you know, seeing Avengers,
That
Infinity War, or sorry, seeing Endgame on opening night, and like everyone gasping at the portal scene.
oh
You
man,
know,
that was unreal.
those are
Something,
kind of things that no matter how big your screen is, you're not going to get that at home.
yeah. I mean, here we have like the AMC's, the Cinemarks, but our main theater chain in Austin is Alamo Drafthouse, and
We are getting our own. Finally, it's supposedly still going to be built, even though, you know, with everything going on, still working on it.
yeah, they haven't opened up here yet, but they started. I got an email because I have like the movie pass, but for Alamo. And they sent me an email where you could pay $150 to rent out a theater for yourself and X number of guests. And that's about all they're doing besides Alamo On Demand, where you can rent like art house films and stuff and support the theater while it's closed. Um, but other than that, like people aren't going to the movies around here. None of my friends are, at least.
I tell you what, we do go to the movies. We go to the drive-in.
I
There's
wish we had.
Lakeland, Florida, about an hour outside of Orlando.
Mhm.
Tomorrow night we're going to see The Wizard of Oz.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, you know, Universal, the Cinemark reopened on the weekends only, and they've been showing retro movies, and they also do the thing where you can rent it out. And you know, if you had a big family, you know, 120, $150 to rent out a movie theater for an afternoon kind of sounds like
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, if you have 10 friends, make them pay, however much piece. That's not a bad way to spend an afternoon and have a socially distant hangout with your friends.
Everyone gets their own row.
Exactly. And then you get snacks and popcorn, and Alamo's food is so good. Get access to the Alamo menu. But I don't know. I think specifically for Mulan's release, the $30 is like a one-time fee, but you get access to the film as long as you remain a subscriber to Disney Plus.
Right.
Yeah, and Disney Plus is like $6.99 a month, so that's basically a $40
And
charge right there.
and what's interesting is that made all the news, but very quietly, it seems that this week Disney has decided to stop releasing new or their catalog product on 4K Blu-ray.
I saw that. Yeah,
So they're putting out Hocus Pocus and
there was another
one other
one.
film. Was it Home Alone? Maybe
Yes, it was
was
Home Alone. Yeah.
yeah. And after that, you know, they're the old Fox and Touchstone and Disney movies. If you want to see them, if they fit on Disney Plus, great. But there's a lot of stuff, you know, anything that's R rated or really hard PG-13.
Yeah.
You know, they edited out Daryl Hannah's rear end from
It gave
Splash.
the long hair.
So, you know, if you believe that cinema is an art form, and if you believe that like people who love art should be able to buy it and collect it and own it and not just rent it when the corporation decides that you're allowed to see it this week and we're taking it off the service.
Yeah.
I learned my lesson years ago when Netflix streaming first started.
Hmm.
When they first switched from having just DVDs to having it
Yeah.
online, and I had a huge DVD collection, maybe 2,000 DVDs, and I was like, well, all this stuff's on Netflix now. I can sell off all these DVDs.
Oh no.
I don't need them anymore. I can stream it anytime I want on Netflix. I swear to God, a month after I sold off half my DVD collection, half of those movies were removed off of Netflix streaming.
Oh no.
So there's my wife very correctly insists that a wall full of Blu-rays and DVDs does not constitute decor. That's not decoration. But as someone who loves movies, there's a value to having something that's always on the shelf and not depending on your subscription or your membership for it to be there in the future.
And this is just since the Fox purchase, this is kind of like the latest notch in how Disney is really changing how you have access to their films. Like they've stopped allowing repertory screenings of Fox movies. Like you can't screen Alien for an anniversary screening at Alamo anymore. They won't let you.
Yeah.
And
luckily, at least before the pandemic, and we'll see what happens, the one movie that they have not clamped down on is the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Thank goodness for that.
There are still places that were, at least when there were theaters, that were still very afraid that once Dr. Frankenfurter became a Disney princess, that they would pull that from the screens.
Yeah. And that's something that is a theatrical experience. I remember going every Halloween in college to go see Rocky Horror in person, and if they take that away, we have no hope for cinema.
That was a big part of my life for a long time, but we should move on.
Yeah. Genevieve says DVDs are not decor.
Yes, she is. Thank you, dear. Thank you, dear. I'm glad she's watching. But the last note about Mulan is the big mystery is when will it become free? And I think the answer is no one knows. They're obviously not going to say buy it now for $30. Oh, and by the way, in 3 months it's going to be free on Disney Plus. They're not going to tell us that. But I would expect that eventually it'll probably be free.
Yeah, the traditional release window is about 3 months. But they've kind of broken that with the early releases of Frozen 2 and onward onto Disney Plus. But since this is a PVOD offering, it's kind of like changed the perception of time as far as theatrical releases. Like, we don't know. This is the first time they've ever done that. But we shall see. I love going to the theater. I think going to the movies is like an experience, from ordering your food if you go to a dine-in or being able to see the previews and stuff like that. That's something I've always treasured. And I really hope that Disney gets whatever they want out of this special release, but at the same time, I hope it doesn't inspire other studios to kind of accept this as a new standard during these times, because people will ultimately probably choose to see a movie on their couch before they decide to go out and see it in public.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing is there was just a court ruling this last week that pretty much dismantled the consent agreements that prevented studios from owning movie theaters. This goes all the way back to the middle of the 20th century, when the movie theater chains were basically owned by the theaters. They did things called block booking, and that was all kind of broken up. The monopoly was broken up, and now the courts say that that's okay again. So I would not be shocked to see, kind of a merger happening where Disney owns AMC, so if you want to see a Disney movie, you better find an AMC theater. At least that if you want to see the movie first or see it in its best format.
Yeah.
So all sorts of things are going to come down the line because the movie theaters were in really rough shape. AMC was teetering on the edge before the pandemic.
Yeah.
So
And
something's
then
going to change.
and Alamo, the ownership and CEO-ship just changed hands. Tim stepped down, and now someone from Starbucks China is in charge. And I don't. It's a rough time to be a movie fan right now.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
On the plus side, we are
Yeah.
getting to see some really cool, sort of quirky movies that maybe wouldn't have gotten any attention without a pandemic going on, showing up on things like HBO Max and Amazon Prime. We just watched the new An American Pickle
With Seth Rogen.
Seth Rogen.
Did you like it?
I liked a lot of it. I wouldn't say I liked the entire thing.
That's
it's
fair.
the kind of movie that if it had just been in the movie theaters, it would have gotten mediocre reviews or just gotten overlooked, and I probably never would have taken the time to watch it. And the one silver lining of the pandemic is that it's like given us all an opportunity, after we were done with Tiger King, an opportunity to like dig in and see some stuff that maybe you wouldn't have had the time for otherwise.
I saw that Birds of Prey got added to HBO Max this month.
Ooh.
And I saw that. I got to go to a Warner Brothers screening of that before it came out. And I loved it. I thought it was so much fun. I'm not a DC movie person by any means, but it was a blast. I loved it. And
I haven't seen it, but it's got to be better than Suicide Squad, right?
Miles better. Miles better. And I wish it had gotten more attention than it did because they had the whole fiasco where it was called Birds of Prey, and people, I guess, didn't know that Harley Quinn was in it, so they weren't going to see it.
The name change was a little awkward.
It was so strange, but if you ever get a chance to see it, it's so good. I wish that A24 would put Green Knight on something, because that was supposed to screen here during South by Southwest on my birthday, and I was going to go, and then it got canceled.
That's like the story of like I was supposed to go. My birthday is coming up this week, and we were supposed to go see Roger Waters in concert on the and Ticketmaster still has not refunded our tickets.
Oh
no! Technically, it's just indefinitely postponed. So until they announce a new date, they don't have to give refunds. Yay, Ticketmaster!
I bought tickets to see My Chemical Romance on their reunion tour in Houston.
You can definitely see the generation difference between us. Roger Waters,
My Chemical Romance. My emo days. Well, I remember it was back in February before any of this stuff blew up, and I had just been waiting for them to postpone it because they had postponed everything else, and now I have to wait till a year from September 29th or whenever it was supposed to be. So yeah, but I'm choosing to hold on to my tickets and try again next year, maybe.
Next year will be better, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm holding on to every day.
Amen.
We've got a question from the audience.
Question?
Yeah, question for some experts. Do you think that Disney parks could ever expand in the U.S.?
You mean a new location or just a new park at one of the existing resorts?
I think he means a new theme park location, not just a new park. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because I have thoughts.
I mean, it's been floated. They've tried some. There was St. Louis. There was Disney's America in Virginia. They tried Disney Quest in Chicago. Yes, I lived in Williamsburg, Virginia during the Disney America debacle. Man. So I remember the problem is that even if there was the market for it, which I don't think there will be a market anywhere close for quite some time, but even if there was a market, Disney is such a big name and they're such a big target. You can't go into a community like he went into Florida in the 1960s and get the concessions from the legislature and get the tax breaks and get all that stuff that you need to build something on that scale. And Universal, Comcast shelled out a lot of money buying property. Disney, I don't see them spending that kind of money anytime soon. They're in hunker down mode. Those of you who live in Florida and been through hurricanes, you know all about hunkering down. Disney's going to be hunkering down for a while.
Yeah. And I mean, you think about Shanghai, that was a $5 billion park. I mean, who knows how much it would cost to build another park at Disneyland in Texas. I wish. That would be really nice.
Well, C.V. Wood built it after he got fired by Walt, and it was called Six Flags Over Texas. I don't think you'd ever see Disney going into that market. No.
We can dream, but I wouldn't put money on it. Now, Seth, if you would tell the kind folks at home where they can find you on social, if you would like, and any shameless plugs you have.
Yeah, it's time to shamelessly plug. So you can find me either at Skubersky, SKUBERSKY, or better yet, look up at the UG series, and that's at the UG series on Twitter and on Instagram and at theunofficialguides.com. And you find out all about my books and follow along. I will be in the parks tomorrow, Monday. Ooh. I somehow got a park pass for Disney Hollywood Studios.
Oh, man.
I will be trying to rise with the resistance tomorrow morning.
That's like gold.
Yeah.
Treat it well.
I don't know how it happened, but I got lucky.
Man. If you want to hear me ride that ride, you can go back like 10 episodes ago or so and listen to me cry. It's awesome. No, I
cry in a good way.
Yeah, cry in a good way. When I walked into the main hangar room, like a single tear came down my face because I was just so overwhelmed. I think there's also some bleeps in there that Banks graciously put in.
Family friendly.
Family friendly, always family friendly. You can find me at Brittany Tuttle. That's BRITTANITU TTLE. Yes, it's spelled funny on Twitter and Instagram, and occasionally at twitch.tv/BritPlays with 3 T's. I'm still in a not streaming position right now, but I hope to eventually get that figured out. We'll see what happens. All right. But until next week, I hope you guys stay safe, have fun, wash your hands, healthy, and wear your mask. Yes. And stay healthy. And we will see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Good night.